Hi, I'm Niclaux. You might know me from such educational videos as How to Do Your Laundry. No, I'm Zach McGowan. You might know me from, I don't know, Shameless, Black Sails, The 100. I was once on Sesame Street back in the day, so I don't know if you watched that. But you're listening to Kneel Before Park.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to a post-apocalyptic edition of Kneel Before Pod, the podcast that plans to live forever. I'm your host Craig, and this episode is all about Season 6 of the CW show The 100. I've got a brand new contributor here to discuss post-apocalyptic. They're not any teenagers anymore, are they? Hi Laura, welcome aboard.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat about the show.
Well, before we do that, how about we talk about you? Your first time on the podcast, so what do you do? Where are you from? What is your outlet?
I live in London currently, just graduated, and I'm currently jobless, but I have a website called Outtake Magazine, so I've been doing stuff on that in the meantime.
Cool. And what does Outtake Magazine do?
All film stuff.
Film stuff. Cool.
Film stuff.
I'll put the link in the show notes and listeners can peruse it at their leisure.
Lovely, thank you.
Yeah. I'm all about promoting everyone. That's what I'm all about.
And we can do the same for you.
I will much appreciate that. Okay, so your first time on, so we're going to do a bit of our standard feature, the Kneel Before Rise Against feature, where we talk about things we like and don't like from the world of entertainment, possibly in recent times, possibly not so recent times. So do you want to kick us off with your Kneel Before as the guest?
Yeah, I think you're going to find this funny. I'm going to kneel before Famous in Love because even though it's like a really objectively bad show, like I find it a lot of fun and I think that needs to be given credit. So I'm kneeling before that.
Well, I'll perhaps lose some manliness points by admitting this, but I've seen the entire first season as of yesterday.
Yes!
Yeah, it's kind of charmingly terrible. I quite enjoyed it.
It's so bad. I love it.
Yeah. One of the funniest things you can ever see in fiction is sort of actors who are playing characters who are pretending to be actors.
And then everyone's reacting. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, that scene was so great. It's like, no, it wasn't. It really wasn't. Yeah,
everyone's like falling over themselves, being like, she's an incredible acting talent, and you're just like, oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah, sure it has its fans, although not so many, because, as I learned yesterday, it's been cancelled. Possibly a long time ago.
I think last year, yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, late to the party on that one, but...
Never mind.
But yeah, it found a fan late in its life cycle, so yay for Famous in Love.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm actually going to kneel before a trailer I saw yesterday. I think it's not that new, but the Banana Splits movie, which is some people go to a Banana Splits concert and it just turns into a bloodbath. It's like a horror-inspired anti-nostalgia thing, as in your nostalgia can kill you sort of thing. And I'm kind of here for it. I thought the trailer looked really cool. I mean, it's probably going to be a pretty forgettable slasher movie, you know. I'm going to be bright burned on this one where I thought, oh yeah, it's Superman, but he's evil, and it's like, nah, it's just a rubbish sort of slasher movie. But I quite like the idea of people in sort of these big felt costumes murdering people. I think that could be entertaining in of itself. Have you seen the trailer for this?
No, I actually wasn't even on my radar. I hadn't heard of the film at all.
Oh well. Check it out. It could be a fun time at the cinema. It could be a kind of, as common contributor Chris calls it, a 3-beer movie. Could be. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll give it a watch. It looks stupid.
And when's it coming out?
I don't know. I probably should have found that out. I'm really bad at this. But I saw the trailer yesterday. It was part of a YouTube black hole that I fell into, and then suddenly I was all over the place, and then I came across this, and I was like, is this real?
It might be that the movie came out like 3 years ago.
Could be. If so, I will buy it on DVD and I'll enjoy it. But yeah, Banana Splits movie, trailer in the show notes. Check it out. Okay, let's move on to Rise Again to be a bit negative about something. So, what would you like to hate on?
This is going to make you sad. I'm going to warn you right now. But I saw Alita Battle Angel a couple of days ago and I didn't like it.
You're kind of in the majority on that one, to be fair.
Yeah, but I wanted to like it and to be fair, like the visual effects and the action bits are really good. It's just the screenplay lets it down so badly.
I quite liked it. It takes a lot of time world building, which I quite like. You know, it's almost setting up for a sequel that it's never going to have. But at least it means it's not rushing through anything.
Yeah, to be fair, they did say that they were planning like multiple sequels, and that's why they had that quite like famous actor in the role of the big bad in the tower. You know, I forget his name.
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they had him do that weird cameo.
Yeah, and the fact that you never see this kind of whole other world that they're trying to get to as well.
It reads a lot like the start of a trilogy rather than a standalone film.
Yeah, which will be a shame because it will never get that trilogy, I suppose, because it's not made that much money.
Yeah. I was actually reading up on it, and it was like in development hell for so many years.
Yeah, James Cameron wanted to make it ages ago, like before Avatar. And then he gave it to Robert Rodriguez and stuck on as a producer because he's making infinite Avatar sequels that...
oh, God. Don't even get me started.
I mean, that's a separate discussion. I quite like that.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of looking forward to the sequels. In like
really?
years or whenever they decide to bring them out. Now owned by Disney, of course, as is everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, Alita, fair enough. It's not for everyone. Not for most people, according to the box office figures, sadly. But, yeah. My rise against is going to be the fact that Disney are going to remake Home Alone for Disney Plus. Among other things, but Home Alone is the one that stuck out at me. And
I feel like every rise against could be like against Disney.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, how does Home Alone work in the modern setting? You know,
maybe it's like a Mormon family, so they don't have access. Wait, no, that's not the Mormons. Who are the ones that don't like electricity?
Amish.
Yeah, maybe it's an Amish family.
Maybe. Or, I don't know. Yeah, they send him a Facebook message. Sorry, we forgot you. We'll be home soon. That's it. Job done. I don't know. I don't see how this can work. Disney might have an idea, or maybe they just want to stamp their ownership on everything they now own. But, yeah, Home Alone, it was this kind of magical, nonsensical 90s movie. Do we really need it updated in any way?
No.
Unless they said it in the 90s.
God, no.
What point in that is there? There we go. That's it. Home Alone. It is what it is. Macaulay Culkin comes back as the dad. Just, I'm sure he'd do it.
Aww. Yeah, he'd do it just so he could, like, slate it in the media.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so that's our Kneel Before Rise Against feature. So you got to love and hate something that's not the 100 for now. So that's good. So let's move on to our topic of discussion. So I'm going to ask you what your spoiler-free thoughts were. We'll get into spoilers after this. And kind of what your connection to the show is as well, because it's not something that's ever been talked about on this podcast before.
Okay.
Because nobody but me watches it. And you, of course.
Yeah, it's weird. I actually started watching it within the time the first, 2 episodes of season 1 had aired. So I was, very early to the party. And I can't even remember how it came onto my radar, but yeah, I've just loved the show ever since season 1, and I thought this season was really good. Honestly, I thought it really picked it up, and the whole changing the setting thing worked really, really well in terms of refreshing the old recycled plots of there's a good world and then everything gets destroyed and then they walk away. So I think it was about time they uprooted. Yeah,
it was starting to stagnate in that respect. It's just every year we've got this "we're all going to die" plot, and in various incarnations, whether it be a crazy AI or apparently nuclear Armageddon, which is a bit of a leap. But I'm like you, I've enjoyed the show since the beginning. I remember I saw it was kind of pre-air review of it. where it was talking about the CW does sci-fi right, and I was like, oh, that'll be the day. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, this is dumb. The first episode is really dumb. And kind of a lot of the first season is kind of dumb as well. Although it does play around with what happens when you shove a bunch of teenagers onto a planet, and how will they behave? And you get a few episodes of that, which is quite fun. And then it kind of gets so much better from there. It just gets much darker, much more complex, much more intense, until it got to the point where I'm here for this. I love this show, and it's ending next year, which is a bit of a shame, I suppose, but everything's got to end sometime. Season 6, I enjoyed Season 6. I think the change in setting, as you said, was great. It was a great move for them. Keeping some of the lingering plots from previous seasons hanging around was a bit iffy at times, but other than that, I think the change in setting was what the show needed, and what the characters needed in some ways. So that's something we'll be able to dive quite far into.
Definitely.
As we progress. So, without spoiling, I don't have anything else that really doesn't spoil everything. So, would you like to launch into the spoiler anomaly?
Yeah, I see what you did there. With spoilers, I would say this works really well as like a part 1 of a 2-season arc, I think, because by the end of it, you spend the whole season getting like the anomaly in the background, kind of wondering what that's about. And then by the end of season 6, you know what's been set up for season 7. I find that really interesting.
I kind of forgotten about it at one point.
Yeah, it was weird, right? I thought they were going to do more with it to explain it, like when Octavia goes into it, etc. But they kept it very sort of mysterious and unexplained, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
They don't typically forget things on this show, at least nothing.
No, and somehow I always like doubt them anyway, but they always put it out of the bag.
It's because it's on the CW, every on the CW show, it's like, yeah, this isn't working, let's just forget it exists.
Yeah.
The viewers aren't ready for time travel, let's forget it, just pretend it's not there. We'll just have Octavia feeling redeemed. It's fine. No one cares anymore. But yeah, the background stuff was interesting in terms of, I see what you mean about it being a 2-season arc. I hadn't actually thought of it like that. I thought of it...
Yeah.
I think this season kind of struggled with what it was going to be about for so long, because there were so many themes that they were trying to play around with. The doing better one, the kind of loss of self through all the body switching that was happening, a bit of religion, the false news that everyone was getting, as in, being indoctrinated into this religion through lies. So it's like, pick a lane. You're not quite giving everything the time it deserves. I think on the whole it averaged out as being pretty well covered, but there's certain things like, so the mind drives, they're not the people, really. They're backups of the people.
Yeah, so it doesn't work the same way as the flame, for instance.
Yeah, well, even the flame, I think, is just backups of the people. It's just an upload of whatever their memories were at the point of death, which is what the mind drives do as well. So the person that comes back, if you're talking metaphysically, isn't that person. They're a copy of that person. That
gets into a whole question of, like, what is consciousness and what is humanity?
Yep.
Which, to be fair, the show's been wrestling with that for quite some time now, and I think they never like address it head on, but they do play with it quite interestingly.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, you could have multiple Russells running about. All you have to do is copy them, and then you've got loads of them, And,
oh God, yeah, nightmare.
That's maybe something they could do sort of next season or whatever, or maybe not.
Just have like 10 Josephines taking over the planet.
Yeah, why not? They'll maybe have to leave us questioning the meaning of life by the end of the season. And leaving questions open are fine. If you're not equipped to answer those questions, but you're equipped to leave people with that question in their head, then that's better. That's more effective sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. And the 100 definitely, especially in regards to to morality and stuff, they definitely let the audiences answer those questions for themselves.
Yeah. Morality was a big thing this season, actually. You had sort of Clark and Octavia. They had essentially the same arc because they've been ostracised from the group. Although people still recognise Clark's leadership, weirdly. I suppose because no one else is competent enough.
No one else really steps up, to be fair. So more by default than actual them willingly letting her.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you have Bellamy, but he's not exactly bereft of blood on his hands, is he?
Yeah. It's also, and this goes back to like season 1, there are different types of leadership. And I think when it comes to like a diplomatic mission with the Primes, that Bellamy's not really equipped for that.
Yeah, and Clark's the one that can make tough choices, so to speak. I mean, the tough choices come into it quite heavily this season as well.
Yeah.
As in, who gets to make those tough choices and can we actually live with those tough choices?
When doesn't it, though, with the 100?
Yeah. Yeah. We've been here 5 minutes.
Yep.
But I found it interesting that Clark and Octavia followed the same kind of arc. They had to abandon who they were before and find something new. And the way they play around with that differently. Although they both do it with head trips. Because who doesn't love a good head trip?
True. Yeah, I actually find the parallels really interesting between Octavia and Clark in that they've both done things, like really terrible things, in the name of leadership and protecting their people. And then you have this parallel where the other characters are more willing to forgive Clark than they are Octavia. Yet by the end of the season, it's Octavia that's like made peace with herself, whereas Clark, the one who's been forgiven by the most people, is still very much fighting her own consciousness. I just find that quite interesting. Yeah,
and obviously Clark needs help to kind of see the monster she's become, kind of thing, because she has Josephine kind of show it to her, whereas Octavia sees it herself. She's haunted by her darker self and has to defeat that, and that's a very CW thing as well. I mean, every show I watch on this network do that at some point. At some point the character will be stuck in their head and have to face up to something that they've been ignoring. But it was very much a literal manifestation of what the season's kind of about. Like, here's where we came from, we need to kill that off and forget it and move on. And it's also like Octavia not needing to be in charge anymore. She kind of always thought that she needed to take charge, but now kind of doesn't. Because once she redeems herself a bit, she kind of supports Bellamy, and then she fades into the background for a couple of episodes, which I think is deliberate.
Yeah.
Because it's all about her just being, right, I'll do what you want to do. I'm just here to help. And that's an interesting development for her. She kind of removes some of the burden from herself.
It's interesting, though, because you get the sense that Octavia no longer thinks of herself as a good person after her whole stint as Blood Rainer. She thinks she made the correct decisions, but not the morally right ones.
Yeah.
And her sense of self is completely different than Clark's own sense of self.
Yeah, and I think the difference is that Clark still feels like she needs to be in charge. She needs to take ownership of everybody's mistakes, I guess, and she needs to represent them in this kind of new world. And I mean, it kind of doesn't go all that well for her, at least to begin with, because she gets erased, or supposedly erased.
Yeah. We all knew she wasn't really erased, though. That kind of lacked the emotional impact, I think.
But I think leaving it lingering for an episode or two,
where
it was only one full episode, wasn't it? It was at the end of that episode that she sort of woke up inside herself.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's better part of an episode.
Yeah, but you had that full episode where you were just thinking, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Can you imagine? That would have been terrible.
Well, I was just thinking of a version of the show where, you keep your actor around, but you change their character completely. So, you just have Josephine for the rest of the run of the show, and Clark's dead. And,
oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Might not have been all that effective. Although I think there was more mileage out of Josephine that they could have mined that they didn't.
They still might, I'm still thinking, season 7's going to pick up on a lot of threads.
She's still clinging on in the background somewhere.
Yeah, or somewhere in the computers or whatever, like the same way that Shade Headers mysteriously disappeared into the world. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know with these things.
Yeah, or if the anomaly allows them to kind of travel back in time, which it might. You get to see Josephine before she leaves Earth, or when she first gets there, or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting for them to develop, because you only ever see the smallest little flashback in that episode where it's mostly in the mind space, and you see her at the cafe and stuff. That could get a lot more development.
Yeah, where she completely destroys that guy.
Yeah.
Who shoots himself in the head. That was
yikes.
A really harsh scene. But yeah,
yep.
The idea that Josephine's like a selfish person who only thinks about herself and she's really shallow and all that kind of stuff. I think it's interesting to remember how young she actually is. At least she may be hundreds of years old, but she's still like a teenager, and she never really grows out of that.
Well, no, I suppose she always has her parents there as well. Like, she never gets to grow out of that role as the daughter, so she never gets to really evolve emotionally the way a normal person might.
Yeah, and it's a weird dynamic as well. It
is very weird.
This sort of static society where, we're just going to be reborn and we'll kind of pick up where we left off, and then we'll just live for 60 or 70 years, and then we'll die, and then we'll find a new body, and so on until, well, there is no end to that, I suppose, until the crew from Earth show up and ruin everything for everybody.
The alternative title to the 100.
Yeah. They never did set on a collective noun for the group this year, which makes reviewing quite difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I think Octavia mentions one crew a couple... No, not Octavia. I think Indra mentions one crew once or twice, but then the rest of the time it's like, you've got different groups happening with no good title in play. Yeah,
I just went with one crew and then the primes, and
yeah, it's easier that way.
Gives you a simple binary to play with.
Yeah,
and you kind of had Murphy sitting on the fringes as he usually does. I really liked what they did with him this season.
I loved it. They really let him play with the character. I think this was one of the highlight seasons for Murphy's character for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that you never know what he's actually going to do next. He's offered immortality, and it's like, I believe he would take it. I believe that he might not be interested in it, and then you bring in Amori as well, and she seems up for it too. I don't think we ever get a good sense of who Amori is, actually, because she has always been kind of on the side of someone else. So I guess that makes it easy to believe that she'll do anything as well, but at the same time, you never get a sense of her motivation because she's always doing what Murphy wants.
Yeah, but as well with Amori, I think she's used to being the outsider, and the years that she spent in space with, the group that had left Clark on Earth, I think she started developing quite close bonds with all of them. I think that's a little bit at play in terms of where her loyalties lie, whether she's willing to abandon this newly made family, or whether she's happy staying as an outsider and just being by Murphy's side. And I think they could have developed that more, but then that could be said about a lot of the characters. It's just a matter of screen time, isn't it?
Yeah, you only have 13 episodes.
Exactly.
I'd rather have this than 23, where we're just sitting for weeks with nothing.
Yeah, I have to agree.
But I think Murphy just saying, okay, I'm willing to protect the people that I care about, and nothing else. And that's almost... that's enough for him. So the primes are essentially threatening his people, so he doesn't want to go with them. But even then, I still think he's tempted by the notion of immortality, although...
Oh, definitely, yeah. But the fact that he's tempted by it and then still chooses to protect his people, that's huge growth for the character.
Yeah. And where he'll go next season, who knows?
Ooh... Actually, there was one scene in this season that I thought really summed up his character really well, which is when Clark, who's passing as Josie, calls him Murphy instead of John, and it's just it encapsulates his character so well, the way he reacts to that.
Yeah,
Just like so blasé, but you can tell he like actually cares about the fact she's alive.
because I suppose she's the only one that kind of gives him a bit of a chance earlier on.
Yeah.
Earlier seasons, he's all over the place and going completely insane, and she's the one that kind of understands. Murphy's been through an awful lot. Suicidal, then not caring if he dies, and then I kind of want to live, and now I want to be immortal. I mean, it's quite a journey.
No, I thought his character arc this season was brilliant, and as always, he's brilliantly played, so it works really well.
Yeah, Richard Harmon, really good in that role.
He's incredible. He should really get more acting roles.
Yeah. I suppose he might after season 7. We'll see him on other
Maybe.
CW shows.
Maybe.
Given a lead in some teen drama.
Oh god, that'd be weird.
I mock the CW, but I love the CW. I mean, I watch so much of it.
It's such a love-hate relationship because like all their classic like CW tropes, you have to hate them, but at the same time I'm still like religiously watching every single show they put out, so
Yeah, and just watching for them. Just watching.
Yeah.
There's the triangle.
Yep.
And I always thought the 100 was pretty good at subverting that to some degree. I mean, early in season 1 you had all that stuff like in abundance, but
Then again, right, it's season 1, so they got to throw in all the stuff that's going to get them viewers as a startup show, so you kind of understand the motivation behind that.
yeah. So our main villain was Russell. And I quite liked him as a villain. I mean, early on he has quite a bit of depth to him, but I think by the end he becomes like more obviously villainous and he becomes a bit more insane. And I think it gets to that point where, okay, your plan has failed and there's no way for you to salvage it, so you're just going to cause trouble now. And I found myself questioning his actions, like the rationality of his actions later on, and I don't think he seemed desperate enough at the end. I think that was the problem. I'm going to team up with Maddie now. It's like, okay, what's that going to accomplish? I mean, there's only like 4 of you now, so that's not going to help.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm torn between the fact that his choosing to team up with Maddie to get revenge for his family kind of parallels a lot of the other characters' decisions in previous seasons, but at the same time, maybe the fact that it lacks any rationality is kind of the point. Like maybe it's hinting at the fact that after all these backups and like new bodies, etc., you're sort of whittling away at the core of someone. So he can construct a persona that's rational perfectly fine, but as soon as he's confronted with any like emotional trauma, he doesn't know how to respond because he's not really himself anymore.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And at that point, he just rediscovered loss as well.
Yeah, because it's not something he's like in hundreds and hundreds of years, he's never experienced true loss. The fact that they never get attached to any of the nulls or the non-primes means that essentially death literally no longer exists for them in any term.
Yeah.
So yeah, it must have felt really surreal to actually lose his family after centuries and centuries.
Yeah, and I thought it was a brave choice to keep him around as well.
Yeah.
Because next season is about, at least for him, will probably be him sitting in a cage somewhere, you know, being upset that he's lost everyone he's ever cared about, and obviously he's lost the command he held over Sanctum and everything else.
Yeah, I wonder what's going to happen, because now all the people in Sanctum know that he's lied to them and like murdered loads of people, so there'll definitely be some element of like consequence, whether they decide to keep him locked up or they decide to put him on trial or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
And he sort of sees himself as a god as well. Like, he actually believes that he's so far above everyone else. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, it always makes for an interesting villain that sort of buys into their own hype.
Yeah. Because
you'll never get through to him on that score, because he's just, he won't consider your opinion because he's above it.
And to be fair, I think it was it Indra that was talking about, like, well, what is a god? Someone that lives forever, that knows all, etc. And she's like, well, what's the difference between what they are and what a god is? So it kind of is, there is that element of like, it's not even that he buys into his own hype, it's that the hype becomes real.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
It doesn't have that spiritual aspect, I suppose.
No.
It's surprisingly coming from Indra, actually, because she is a very spiritual person. You know, she's always talking about the memory of the commanders and all this kind of stuff. So it's surprising me that she would be so mechanical about something like that. Like, I would think her opinion would be that gods are something that you don't like interact with as such.
Yeah. Maybe she has a different perspective on it, knowing that people are being lied to and being killed for the sake of these gods. And that's a very different take on the commander mythology.
Yeah, because anybody back on Earth, they would take the flame and they would know they were getting the memories and experiences and personality quirks of the previous commanders, whereas on Sanctum it's almost the other way around, where multiple people are being erased to accommodate a few people.
Yeah.
Whereas the new commander doesn't get erased, it's just kind of supplemented by the other people. Well, it's weird because you kind of get the sense that they're aware of them, but they're still their own person, so that's not something they've ever done a huge amount with, actually, now that I think about it.
And now they won't get the chance to. Oops.
Well, maybe they will, because, I mean, the flame has been destroyed, so what better time to talk about it and consider what has been lost? And there's enough people about to consider what the experiences that are gone are. The fact is that Clark now probably has to deal with that Lexa is gone completely, because no part of her exists anywhere anymore. Unless they managed to back up the entire Flames code as well, but I don't think they did.
Doubtful. That seems a little bit like Deus Ex Machina, it would cancel out a lot of the emotional impact, I think. Not that they really landed the magnitude of destroying the flame. I think it was sort of muddled in with a lot of other sort of narrative climaxes, so we didn't get the full brunt of the consequences and potentialities.
Yeah, and Maddie was just like, I'm not commander anymore. That's it. That's the end of it. It's like, were you ever commander in the first place, really? I mean,
yeah. Well, to be fair, I think if I have one major beef with season 6, it's the whole sort of Maddie storyline.
I wasn't really buying the sort of devil on her shoulder thing, because
no,
it just kind of came and went, and she got to kill a couple of people, and it didn't really mean anything.
No, the whole time though, with like Shadeheader, all I could think about was Emperor Palpatine in Star Wars. I was like, this is such a blatant ripoff.
Yeah. I mean, there's all sorts of examples you could think of this kind of corrupting voice in someone's head, just cajoling them on into taking actions that they might not normally take. They did it in Krypton this season as well. Brainiac was inside Segel's head and trying to do the same thing. So, yeah, I mean... Do
I need to start watching that? Is it quite good?
Oh, I'd recommend it. Yeah, I love Krypton. Yeah.
Cool.
It's a good show.
Might add it to the to-watch list.
Yeah, the ever-growing to-watch list.
Oh my god, don't even.
Yeah.
I think I need like 5 years out of life to just
same.
Catch
Put
up.
me on a space station, I'll watch television. Just...
Put me on the Ark.
Yeah. With a hard drive and a giant screen, and yeah, that'll do me.
Yeah.
I will really enjoy that. Or even just I don't know, I'll go on a flight to another planet, which takes like hundreds of years, then I'll catch it.
Yeah. And skip the cryo sleep.
Yeah, that's it. I'll just wake up and I'll watch everything, then I'll go to sleep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but I still need new stuff. Like, I need the new stuff to come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a difficult one. I keep up while also keeping up. Yeah. Interestingly, with the cryo sleep stuff, they kept a large number of characters just out of the loop this season.
Yeah, to be fair, they also introduced a bunch of new ones, so I think it was about keeping it manageable in terms of the ensemble casting.
I think some of it was scheduling as well, because I know that like Jessica Harmon was on iZombie for its final season.
Oh, yeah.
So that way you can't get Nyla kicking about.
Yeah, true.
She's in the last episode, I think, but only for...
She is. She like makes a couple brief appearances, but I think her total time on screen during the whole season can't be more than like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because like she's not a core character by any means.
Yeah, we had all sorts of new characters. We had to learn about Russell, we had to learn about Gabriel, we had to learn about... Well, not so much Simone, she was just kind of there.
Yeah. Josephine was also, even though I suppose she's shared a lot of the time with Clark, but she was definitely still needed to be introduced.
Yeah. I thought Josephine was a great addition, and you could almost imagine a version of the show where Josephine appears from now on, as I said earlier. I mean, I don't know if it would have been that good, but it would have been something.
Yeah. No, I really liked her, and I loved hating her, so I thought it was great.
Yeah, and I liked her original actor as well.
Yeah.
Sarah Thompson, I think her name was.
I'm not sure, but yeah, I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, and it was really good just seeing how how different Eliza Taylor's performance was as well when she just slipped into that completely different persona.
Yeah, and it's so layered as well, like when she's Clark pretending to be Josephine in Clark's body, and that just like really shows off Eliza's acting abilities, because we've always known she's a brilliant actress, but I think this really helped her come out of that sort of like maybe CW stereotypical shell.
Yeah. Well, this season she did Clark, she did Josephine, she did Josephine as Clark, she did Clark as Josephine. So,
yep.
Just insane.
I can't even imagine how you'd keep track of that on set as well, because like presumably they're not shot chronologically, so you're like, who am I again right now?
Ultimate identity crisis. There was other little flourishes I liked where she was able to kind of suss out the language. She was like, there's this word I can't understand, but I'm not sure what it is, but I think it might be this. And it's like, I've been alive for hundreds of years. Of course I've got an ear for languages.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I loved about it as well, is just how smart, like how covertly smart Josephine is. Like, it's not one of those characters where they're like spurting like scientific jargon and it's in your face all the time, but it's more like underlying, and you're really appreciating that this girl's got like hundreds of years of accumulated knowledge.
Yeah, and I liked her mind space as well, this meticulously organised collection of bookshelves that just chronicle her every memory.
I thought that whole thing was really interesting, like the way they portrayed the contrast between like a mind that's been computerized and a sort of more organic mind. I thought was really, really interesting. Yeah,
and then when it started to break down, just the books were everywhere, throwing her memories out of airlocks and things. It was just kind of it's the loss of self. It's I've just forgotten like 10 years of my life. Great, thanks for that.
And you know what? Genuinely, in that episode, I think I felt a lot more sympathy for Josephine losing her memories than I ever did when they showed us, you know, her childhood trauma of having that boy shoot himself in front of her. Like, that didn't really have any sort of impact on me, but when you see the books fly out and she has to like pick a memory and say goodbye to those memories, I thought that was actually really impactful.
Yeah, it's the what's important to me kind of memories. It's either this or you die. Which is it? And what are you willing to live without? And then after you get rid of it, you won't remember ever having it anyway. So it's a weird one. Memory is such a fun thing to play with in science fiction, though. It's just all these different things you can do with it.
For sure.
Could have watched an entire season of Clark and Josephine fighting for control.
100%. I really think that was like my favourite episode, probably of the season, and definitely in the top 5 of like the whole running of the show.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's reminded me of the one where Raven was trying to get Allie out of her head. Where she was just trying to wear herself out so that her brain would be overstimulated and things like that. That was it reminded me of that in a way. Although it's not quite the same thing, but...
No, but I see what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, they do an awful lot of these sorts of things, actually. Just have different invasions into their psyche that they have to fight against.
And none of it would work if it wasn't for, like, the incredible cast they managed to land, because so much of it relies on the acting, because you have to really, like, believe this whole complexity of, like, multiple personalities and struggling for consciousness, and it's such a credit to the acting abilities of the cast.
Oh, definitely. Eliza Taylor's a great lead for a reason, and I think when I think back to, I used to watch Neighbours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think
cool.
I'm not sure exactly when I stopped watching, but she was definitely still in it when I was watching it.
That's so weird. Fair enough. When
they first introduced her in Neighbours, she was a kind of a problem child, I guess. She didn't have the best family life and all that kind of stuff. And she became this sort of much stronger, more sort of together person. And I remember when I first watched the show, I was like, I recognise her from somewhere. You did IMDb check.
Of course, every time.
Oh my God, it's her. And then I didn't recognise her when she wasn't Australian. And I still forget that as well, you know.
Yeah, then you hear her in interviews and you're like, oh damn, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, obviously this season we're on a new planet, which, think back to season 1, did you ever think that would happen?
No, absolutely not, no.
I don't know if this happens in the books, I've never read them. But
it doesn't, no. To be fair, right, the books literally have nothing to do with the show, so... Not even the characters or anything like the characters in the show, so it's weird.
There is a Watch Mojo video that talks about the key differences between the books and the show, but I've never watched it. I probably should have. It'll be in the show notes. Maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I don't want to know. Who knows?
Maybe.
But anyway, they're on a new planet, which is interesting. I kind of feel like they'd written last season as if we're in case we don't get renewed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because they could have ended it there. Like, it would have worked just fine. But I'm glad they didn't, because I love the show. I'm very happy with season 6. But they could have definitely left it on that hopeful note of like, oh, we're sailing off to a new world for a fresh start. And then that could have been the end. Yeah.
And then it doesn't take long for it to be this hellscape.
It wouldn't be this show if it wasn't.
Yeah. Because you do have kind of half an episode of, wow, look at this. And, and they don't really think about, are we safe to walk on the surface, or is it going to like, are we going to get infected by some disease that we're not aware of because it's an alien planet?
Yikes.
Effectively.
Yeah.
And they kind of do this, here's an insect, that's alien life, let's not forget that. And it quickly forgets that, although, and then suddenly you've got eclipses that turn everyone insane and all that stuff. Yeah, that was fine. I quite liked the actual episode where they were all kind of chained up and try to ride it out because they were just all being driven mental by this red moon or red sun.
I thought that worked really well to like reintroduce some of the sort of psychological character traits where they're at in their arc, sort of struggling with their own internal demons and stuff. Bringing that back I thought was really helpful, and it worked well, especially for Clark to sort of resolve that between her and Bellamy.
Yeah,
it was a smart way to do it.
It's like, we're all fine, what's going on?
I just love that scene where you've got all them little kids and that golden retriever just coming up to like a hot mess. Yeah, everyone's just had a rough night and they're all refreshed and we always hide out during it. Although they don't really establish how frequent they are. They really don't know, because by the end, the whole sort of toxin fake eclipse thing is quite a major plot point. And Russell's like, oh, well, we know there's no eclipse, so the toxins aren't real. And you're kind of like, why did they think that would work?
Yeah, surely they have some way of predicting them.
I mean, an eclipse should have a regular pattern that can be tracked, so I don't really know. I don't know. I'm sure there's
two suns and multiple moons, isn't it? So
yeah.
But there must be some predictive element to it, because otherwise they wouldn't know to get in the bunker and hide from it.
Well, I suppose they do mention the fact that they track the bugs. Yeah. And that's their first sign that something's up. But as for the actual frequency, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I want to know about, and I guess maybe more episodes would give me that answer, but then it's like, oh, what did we learn in this episode? That the eclipses happen every 3 months. And, oh, great. Nothing else. No one else did anything.
To be fair, they did really well in getting out a lot of exposition without it feeling like you're being force-fed this whole like world building. Yeah.
And then the episode after that it's probably the quietest moment you have on the show, where they're all just kind of hanging around Sanctum, and it seems like it's going to be okay. I mean, there's going to be some kind of darker underbelly to it, because there always is, but the fact that they get to unwind a bit and they're being welcomed into the society, and we're gearing up for a party, it's like but we're actually gearing up to kill this young girl, and that's awkward.
Poor Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan was an interesting addition, actually, because he's the only pure innocent character in the show. Yeah, that didn't last long, did it? Well, no. I mean, he doesn't really do anything, though. Not to the extent anyone else does, because I forget her original name. Priya was her later name. Oh,
Delilah.
That's the one, yeah. Yeah, so he hooks up with her, and then he wants to know what happened to her, and that's how they kind of figure out what the situation is. But after that, he basically disappears. Yeah, they didn't have much use for him, I think, so they just sidelined him quite a lot, which is unfortunate, because I thought his initial presence was really promising in terms of like being the new moral compass to the group, but then he was kind of tossed aside. And I think especially with Kane also being written out of the show, that's both moral compasses gone.
Which is interesting because then it's like, well, are the characters now accountable for themselves, or is there just nothing to hold them to their actions? But yeah.
But that's all the grown-ups gone now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose except Indra, I suppose she counts.
Yeah. Well, we lost Abby and Kanan in one season, which, you know, they're season 1 OGs. So that was really sad, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, I cried when Abby died. But I also think it's the right thing to do if we're going to go all in to that question of, like, can we do better? I think it's important to leave it up to the next generation, which are, you know, the kids who aren't kids anymore.
Yeah. And I think the Abby thing was really well done because it was quite understated. She just turns up and then she's gone. And Clark's still pretending to be Josephine at the time, so she can't react.
Yeah.
There's nothing she can do about it. It's the little lingering looks that she gives. It's like, you know, when she knows that no one's looking. You know, where she's just trying not to break down. That tells you everything about what she's feeling about that loss.
God, yeah. I thought it was gorgeously done on everyone's part, to be honest. Like, Paige Turco is incredible.
And she kind of gets to say goodbye when Simone pretends to be Abby.
Yeah.
Kind of. But not quite. I mean, she'll never have that closure in her relationship with her mother.
No.
And I suppose that'll go into the next season as well.
And I think it's interesting as well that, like, Raven, who's almost a surrogate daughter, did get to say goodbye, and then Clark didn't. I think that might set up, like, an interesting conversation between the two, because we haven't really seen Clark and Raven together this season.
No, other than Raven saying, I hate you. And Clark being like, well... Sorry.
Which is, like, fair enough. So, but I think it might set up the sort of, like, rekindling of their relationship, the fact that Raven knows that she got to do something that Clark's going to wish her whole life she'd gotten to do.
Yeah. And Raven did get closure in her relationship with Abby as well.
Yeah, which was great because she, you know, Raven's had it rough. She deserved something good, even though it's, well, good. She got closure with her mother figure, even if that meant she then died. But I think it was something that needed to happen any which way.
I kind of thought their reconciliation was a bit abrupt considering how hostile Raven was all season. But then I thought about it again and it was like, no, it's family. I mean, you do randomly fall out with family and then forgive them very, very quickly. That happens in pretty much every family, I would imagine. So it's like, I was only acting out because I was really disappointed in you and all that kind of stuff. I mean, let's not forget that Abby did willfully let someone die so that she could get Kane back, which you can understand, but it's difficult to walk back from.
Yeah.
I suppose her sacrificing herself so that Maddie would survive was her atonement for that, or as much as possible. Not a big season for Raven, though. Didn't really do much.
No. At the beginning, it kind of looked like she was at the machine shop having chats with... Is his name Riker?
Riker,
yeah. You kind of thought they might develop like a romantic relationship or something, but they abandoned that pretty quickly, which is fine by me because you can only have so many side plots. But
the worst thing that can happen to you in this show is that you form a relationship with Raven. It just means you're going to die.
Yep. In the very first episode.
They all
God.
Just don't go there.
Nope.
If I ever wind up in this post-apocalyptic future, as much as I love Raven, I'll stay away.
Yeah.
Just no.
Also, don't have too much of a conscience because you will die.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I have to make sacrifices, otherwise I will be killed.
Top tips.
I will probably be sacrificed as a peaceful gesture.
Yep.
As has happened on several occasions. So on the theme of like doing better, do you think you did do better, or do you think there's still a ways to go?
Oof. I think there's more intent on trying to do better. I think it's much more at the forefront of their mind when they're making any decision. But I also still think that right and wrong take a back seat to protecting their own people.
Yeah, they're still falling back on that habit.
Yeah, but then again, is that wrong, or is that just their version of doing the right thing? It's the 100, it's never black and white, and I love that. But I do think that something needs to be said for the fact that they're very aware of their past wrongdoings. and that they are trying to do better, even though I would say by the end of season 6 that's kind of questionable. Is what Jordan says, that the primes were doing something wrong but the people were happy. So was it really their place to come in and intervene and tell them what's right and what's wrong? I thought that last exchange between him and Bellamy perfectly summed it up.
Yeah, and that conversation, they're both a bit skewed in the way that they look at things, because Jordan hasn't been about, he doesn't understand what's been happening. He's been like drugged or something for for days or weeks or however long it's been. So he's like, we tore this society apart. They actually worked rightly or wrongly until we showed up, and then Bellamy's like, but we had no choice. And it's like, did we? Did we not have any choice? I mean, it's a difficult one because Russell is this kind of totalitarian force that willfully kills people because he wants to continue surviving, and he's lulled these people into a false sense of, I guess, peace, that they're becoming something or becoming part of something greater than themselves, and when in reality they're just becoming empty husks for a consciousness that's deemed better than theirs is. And so they're gone, they're completely gone, and so that's that difficult question, like, how do we deal with that? Is there a non-violent solution? I suppose the only non-violent solution is, let's go along with it, we all become Nightbloods and we're fine. We'll all just keep surviving through the ages.
I'm sure Murphy would have been alright with that.
Well, I think what happens is you find out who is willing to do it, and then you kill the rest, and then that's how you perpetuate these kind of dictatorships anyway. In our own history, anybody that speaks out against you gets killed because you can't have those voices speaking out against you, and then eventually it gets overthrown. So there's kind of a sense of that here, because you had Gabriel. He was the one that kind of felt a bit sick about what was going on. Yeah. In the sense that Riker was a bit against it as well. I mean, less so, because he still went along with it, but he was like, I don't feel good about it, but I'll still do it.
Yeah, he hesitated, and then he was faced with his own mortality and decided he was worth more.
Yeah. I guess you have to ask yourself, would you do anything differently? If faced with that situation, would you choose to let yourself die and be forgotten, or would you continue on? I mean, I don't know what I would do. I'd like to think that I would do the right thing, or what I think to be the right thing, and not be reborn, but at the same time, I kind of like being alive, so...
Do you think there's a sense on their behalf that, they've gone this long and taken this many lifetimes, that maybe they think they owe it to the world to keep going? Because as soon as they die, all these people's sacrifices are essentially nulled.
Well, Riker says something to that effect, doesn't he? He says something about, he's honouring that body by continuing to be in it. And I think Gabriel says that too. I'm in this body now, so I might as well not waste it and maybe use it to help everyone else. And I liked Gabriel's non-violent approach as well. I think the way he kind of did it, when he let himself be captured. Yeah. So he could have a conversation with Russell and try to get through to him. But what you had was these two people that were completely set in their ways and couldn't be budged. And they were both wrong in some way. Mm-hmm. And I like conversations like that where both sides are kind of barking up the wrong tree and they're completely inflexible, because Gabriel's asked a few difficult questions there and he just doesn't have an answer for it. And he's like, well, you suck. So, and that's basically his answer. Because he has been, I suppose, alone with his own beliefs for so long and just hasn't had the chance to really reflect on them. And the same Russell never gets challenged by anybody else, so he doesn't have answers either.
Yeah, they're both leaders who are gods to their own people, and I think there's defo a sense of massive ego that you, even if you're aware that you might not be right, you're still convinced that your way is better than the other way.
Yeah, and you get sort of examples of what it might be like if the relative peace that the primes have brought in kind of tore apart. You have all these devoutly religious people that just can't believe that their life has been a lie, and they're sort of fighting for something that they refuse to admit doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I find it interesting as well that there is that initial resistance to believe that everything they've been told is a lie, because there's an investment in believing that the primes really are gods, because otherwise, what has their entire life been? And I find that really interesting, the way they deal with them, like the idea of organized religion and belief and propaganda. I thought they did really well with that.
Yeah, the primes gave them meaning, albeit incorrect meaning or false meaning. But as far as anybody knew, they had it figured out. If I'm lucky enough, I'll be chosen, or if I'm lucky enough, I'll be born with this special blood, and I'll be chosen by the primes to become one with them, and then I'll move on to this kind of higher plane of existence. And that's not what's happening at all. That's the end result's horrible. But then how many people believe in a better place, and you don't know what happens after death? So, it's a huge question as well. What if in the last minutes before the abyss you learn that it's all a lie, and your entire life building up to that point has been meaningless?
I think you'd probably rather die not knowing that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm talking about sort of...
No, I know.
World, yeah.
Yeah, but it's almost like... It kind of comes back to that question of, like, was it the right thing? Like, did the 100, did the one crew have any right to, like, strip these people of this belief, whether it be false or not? Because they were happy with that belief.
Yeah.
And having that taken away from them is gonna, in the long term, cause them a lot more sorrow and heartache than if they'd been blissfully ignorant and just kept believing.
Yeah, and then what happens next season with that, now that you've got these kind of pockets of people that have had their whole life shattered, their whole reason for being shattered, everything they knew is gone. How do they, obviously, who are they going to blame for that? I mean, the candidates are right there.
Yeah, I really hope with season 7 they don't just like focus in on the anomaly, and they do actually deal with the aftermath in Sanctum, because I know we've still got some characters within Sanctum, so it'll obviously get revisited, but I also feel like season 6 never spent much time with like the everyday common citizen, so I'd like to see a bit more of that done next season.
Yeah, and that makes it harder to accept it when they actually did start playing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have no sense of the kind of grassroots side of it. You know all about the primes.
Yeah, and I also found it quite hard to feel bad about it. Like, when you kind of feel for Delilah dying to be replaced by Priya, but when they threaten to, like, turn other people into Nightbloods so that all the primes can be resurrected at once, it's hard to feel invested in those lives that are potentially lost.
Yeah.
Which is why they took Abby, I suppose, is to really hammer home that sort of loss. But
you need some audience shorthand. You need
exactly.
We viewers need something to care about, and you don't necessarily care about some anonymous guy, because you kind of got that with Kane. And I don't even remember the name of his host. That's how impactful.
Neither do I. He's just the guy from Bitten. That's all I know him as.
Yeah, which I've seen one season of Bitten actually, but not.
Yeah, I think you're enough having seen one season, to be honest with you.
It was a bit of a slog.
Yeah,
has to be said.
It was all right, but it was nowhere like further than all right. And in this day and age, I need more than that to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Laura Vandervoort, and I was like, she's on the show, I'll watch that.
Yeah, and to be fair, she is like defo one of the highlights of that show. But yeah, I think with season 1, you've seen what you needed to see.
Yeah, I think she's playing like a vampire next or something like that. So she's making her way around all the kind of other stuff. She's been an alien, in 2 aliens actually, werewolf, vampire. Yeah. Well, she was the Smallville version of Supergirl, and she was in V as well.
I had totally forgotten she was in Smallville.
Yeah.
Oh wow, what a throwback.
I know. Well, she was also in Supergirl, the TV show, as a alien. That's an alien computer thing. Yeah. So, I don't think I've ever seen her play a human. Funny enough.
She's too pretty to be credible as a human.
Yeah, don't believe it. Yeah. It's like, no, she's not human. Maybe she'll be in season 7 of The 100. Who knows?
Maybe she'll be in iZombie as the zombie.
Well,
really complete that wheel.
Because that show is now finished. So that's not happening.
In the reboot, Disney will pick it up next year. Don't you worry.
Or when I do a Kickstarter and get it,
Aye,
get it brought back. That'll happen. I'm not going to do a Kickstarter. I don't have the rights. But Rob Thomas might. Worked for him before.
Tweet him.
Yeah, I will.
I have this great idea for you.
Yeah, it seems to work for you, so let's do it. What was I talking about? Doing better. Yeah, I kind of agree with you that they start to do better, and I actually prefer the gradual shift towards doing better because, again, it's not exclusive to the CW, but it's a lot of kind of sci-fi shows where you get here's the problem and here's the end of that problem, and the kind of in between is a bit muddied. So the fact is they're trying, but it's impossible to break out of a pattern of behaviour completely. You can't go cold turkey on this sort of stuff. And seeing the little attempts at it, so we're going to bring down the shield and then we're going to infect everyone with the toxin, and while they're all killing each other, we'll slip in. It's like, well, that idea is horrible. It's really horrible. And Clark's like, how about we try it another way that doesn't kill everybody? And coming from her, that's like, that's novel.
Brutal.
Usually you're the one that's like, yep, that's fine. There'll be
that's
less
fine by me.
So we're going to do this. It's harder, but we'll do it because it's better for everybody, and it's more problematic for all of us, but more people will, in theory, survive at the end of it. So the fact that she considers that, and she gives Simone a choice before opening the airlock.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, which is unusual for her, and then. She's very remorseful when she talks to Bellamy at the end of the last episode as well.
Yeah.
Questioning whether she could have done more, could have done better.
I really like that as well, the fact that because they've always been, the good guys, no matter how complex the morality of that entails. They've always been presented as the good guys because you see them acting out of love for their people. And I think season 6 really changed things because they're broadening the scope of who they care about, and it's less doing things because it's right in that you're saving the people you love. It's more doing things right for selfless reasons. You're not motivated by this desire to protect what you have and those you care about. It's more altruistic.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most interesting part of it, was that, well, why should they care about these people? Why should they care about limiting the damage? And it really is because they're trying to do better in a very pure sense of the word.
Yeah, they're considering the human cost for once.
Yeah.
And Bellamy's attitude is kind of simplistic with the whole, well, we had no choice. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. And although it's weirdly consistent, because earlier in the season he says to Echo, I think we should just stop being annoyed at ourselves for our past misdeeds and whatever. And she's just like, what? It's like, you haven't been listening to her. I mean,
no.
Think of or at least all the stuff we've heard that Echo's been through, and then you get that flashback where she has to literally take her dead friend's name.
Yeah, God.
It's quite intense. I don't know, I sometimes or often feel like Bellamy can't just see beyond himself.
No.
And that's been a failing he's had since day one, pretty much, because when he was vying for leadership with Clark in season 1, he was very much about, I'm going to be in charge and everyone's going to listen to me, and he's not really keen to listen to other people. I think he's better at that now, but at the same time, there's still those little issues that creep in for him.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a reluctance to look inwards on his behalf. He's very quick to forgive others or to judge others, but when it comes to his own actions, I think it's like Pandora's box. He doesn't want to open it just yet.
Yeah, and he went from, you're my sister, but you're not my responsibility, to, well, there was an implied reconciliation, but it didn't really, it didn't really work as such, although I was happy that they were putting it behind them because it was going to get tedious. I think we had to leave as much behind as possible going into the next season because it was just mounting up with it. We keep having the same arguments over and over again, and it's getting dull.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that Bellamy actually forgave Octavia. I think he did it because he was tired of hating her.
Yeah.
So I just don't buy that that's true forgiveness. I think he just wanted to be a big brother again.
And I guess with her being missing, there's plenty of chance to reflect on that, which was a weird ending. I mean,
I did not expect that in the least.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah, they just, oh, look, you've had this tattoo on your back. It's just so happens you've never taken your jacket off before now. Which, I don't know, things like that make me wonder about how bad everyone in that show smells. I mean, it's one of those things, you see the actors at, like, in photos at, I don't know, premieres or events or whatever else, and they're all, they all look so clean and made up, and like you watch this show and it's like, whenever watching The 100, I always feel like I need a bath.
Yeah.
By the end of it. Just, it's also grimy and muddy, but in such a designer sort of way.
Yeah. They all still look really good.
Yeah, well, it is the CW. There's no unattractive people allowed on the CW.
No, we can't have that.
No. It would be anarchy.
That's when they change networks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can have ugly people on other networks. But yeah, she has the kind of, I guess, the cheat code for the, use video game terminology, of course.
Yeah.
The cheat code to activate the thing.
I really hope that they go into all of that in season 7 and actually give us explanations, because as it stands, if this was the entirety of that storyline, it feels very tacked on.
Well, it definitely won't be. I mean, they haven't introduced Hope just for that one scene.
No, I know. And I'm saying that, like, bearing in mind that I know this is all setting up for season 7, but I'm saying if it had been cancelled before this, it would definitely be to the detriment of season 6.
Imagine if it had been cancelled, you just cut that. You cut that scene.
I don't even want to fathom that.
Thankfully, we don't.
Nope.
We're going to find out. But,
yeah.
Yeah, so Hope is there, and I forget the name of the actor that plays her. She has the same surname as another actor in the show, but I can't remember.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, she turns up, and I wasn't clear if Octavia always remembered what went on and was keeping it hidden, or if the memories just came flooding back as soon as the anomaly showed up.
I think it was more like it came flooding back, because I really don't see why she would have lied this whole time, and also I don't buy that she would have been that convincing. I think, she's not that good a liar. So yeah, I'm thinking when the anomaly opened and Hope came out, that it triggered the memories as well.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Because as soon as she saw Hope, there was that moment of
recognition. Yeah,
she was like, "Oh, it's 100%. Hope!" And like, who the hell's Hope? And, the audience was basically Bellamy in that scene. It's like, who's this? What's going on? What is?
Excuse me?
Yeah, and then Octavia gets stabbed.
Yep.
I don't think that's her dead.
No, I don't want it to be anyway.
No, it's maybe she's had an adventure that we'll see play out, and it has to lead to that moment for some reason. Oh, and it's Shelby Flannery that Hope's actor's name is, which is not the same spelling as Lola Flannery, but same name. So,
fair enough.
I often wonder if Richard Harmon and Jessica Harmon are related, but I'm never
they are.
They are, all right.
Yeah, they're like half siblings, I think. But
Okay.
I follow both of them on Instagram, and they're always going on like family vacations together. So confirmed.
Yeah, fair enough. I didn't know that. I do a shockingly little amount of research before coming on research. I just count on everyone else doing it for me.
Fair enough. I got you. You.
Got enough work to do. Yeah, so we'll see some kind of adventure from within the anomaly, and I imagine it's not the last of Dioza. I've got this kind of vision of Octavia being in there, and she'll see a Dioza who's like super old and
yeah. Maybe we'll get some flashbacks to actually what happened.
Flash, weird time, whatever.
Yeah. Because clearly, like a good 25 years must have happened in there. The fact that like she knows Dioza's daughter in her 20s. Yeah,
I wasn't clear on how old Hope was. She looked like she might be kind of teenagey, but really bad at finding out these, gauging these ages. Especially in shows like this where they're 25-year-old teenagers to begin with. And, at least now they've caught up with their own age because they had the massive time skip at one point.
Yeah.
So that's something. But they were kind of high school age when it started, which you have to think about. Especially now that there's no grown-ups left.
No. They are the grown-ups now.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Crazy.
That's so strange.
Well, even Maddie looks like weirdly so much older this season.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different actor. I don't think it was Lola Flannery last season.
Was?
I'm sure she was a different actor at one point.
What, Maddie?
Yeah.
Surely not. Oh,
Fuck,
that's something I'll have to check later. No, but she was definitely Maddie last season. Like 100%. So, I don't know.
Portrayed by Imogen Tier, Prime Fire, then Lola Flannery, S5 to S7, and then Lena Renner, Young Child, whenever that was. So there's been 3 Maddies. So yeah, it was definitely a different actor in her first appearance.
Like when it was by the riverside or something.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fair.
I know they replaced the actor at some point. And
Fair
I think
enough.
this season they've just made her look a lot older.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that helps sort of sell the whole, like, dark commander vibe of it.
I don't know, I feel like she comes off as kind of petulant, which I find distracting. It's like, I can't take you seriously as being threatening because
Yeah, that whole arc, man, just did not have me invested at all.
No, it really needed more work, and I think it was just one too many things. I'm not
See,
sure
I
what
was-
else she could have done with Maddie, left her asleep, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I was just thinking, like, was this just a way for them to sort of have Maddie taken out of the equation? Because she obviously has the power to raise this whole army, and she'd probably be like, right, they've taken Clark, I'm gonna, like, kill everyone in Sanctum, and that'd be the end of the season.
Yeah. I suppose they needed some kind of catalyst who was going around killing primes,
True.
but at the same time, anybody could have done that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were getting at with that whole side plot, but
I guess they were setting up for whatever they're going to do with the devil on her shoulder, whatever he does.
yeah, that'll be interesting.
Takes over the ship or something like that. I don't know.
Christ. It's like 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah, I just never thought I'd see them get to this point. I mean,
No.
I think I was going to call it the framework, that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the same thing. Yeah, whatever it's called. The City of Light, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was like weird by this show's standards. And now we have time travel,
Yeah,
potentially. Or at least
potentially.
non-linear storytelling in some way.
Defo something funky's happening.
Yeah, you've got a mental fixing anomaly and weird time stuff and an aged child that wasn't even born like a few days ago
And floating rocks.
yeah, floating rocks, yeah. And aliens, of course. I mean, they're just bugs, but they're
Aye.
still aliens.
True.
Yeah. And there's other moons they might go to. I mean, I kind of thought that, like Russell said, we're going to go to the other sites and moon them, which I think there's not enough time next season to go and do that. I don't think, at least not extensively.
I don't think they'll do that, to be honest with you. I think they're going to stay on Sanctum now and deal with the anomaly thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's fine just to leave. There's other stuff out there. Let's leave that. Yeah, there's...
Plus, the whole reason that Russell wanted to leave was that he could start again in a position of power, whereas one crew or the 100, they don't have that issue. They're fine just staying put. It's not like they're the villains in that story.
Yeah, I suppose they could just go and colonise the other side of the planet and not worry about it.
True that.
Which might be a thing that they could do, maybe not.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will.
Hopefully soon. I'm not here to wait another 12 months.
I think it'll be next year. I mean, it's not... Well, it's only just finished. So
Yeah, it's
not
definitely not going to be making the full circuit, but I'm hoping maybe like between March and May next year.
I reckon it'll come on at the same time it did sort of this year, which is what, April?
I want to say April, yeah.
Yeah, which means it'll run through my busy summer period again. Great.
Yay.
I've reviewed every episode and I'm going to review every episode, so...
Yeah, if you did it this year, you'll be fine next year.
Yeah, start prioritising that over sleep.
Mm.
Yeah. But nah, it's been a good season. You know, it's one of those shows that I've kept going with because it has always given me something.
Yeah.
Given me something that's just a bit extra, I guess. And it feels weirdly un-CW in a lot of ways, where the way they play around with different things. And I've seen some people discount it for being overly dark, and I suppose if you were only just coming into it and you just happened to watch an episode, you might be like, yeah, this is a bit intense.
I feel like that's what keeps me coming back to it, though, is how dark it is. Because it's so complex that it keeps you fully invested all the time.
Yeah.
And you get to love these characters through thick or thin, and you become so invested in their growth and their journey that I think that's why it kept going for so long.
Yeah, it's obviously kept enough of a fan base to keep it going for 7 seasons.
Yeah, it's doing pretty well for itself.
And I feel like they're sort of ending on their own terms.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know what the whole story is, but it doesn't really feel like, you know, they got cancelled or anything. It sounds more like they agreed with the studio or the network to be like, well, we're gonna stop here. Does that work for you? And everyone seemed to agree. So
It seems to be quite a common thing now, actually, of renewing shows for a final season.
yeah,
I've seen it happen a lot. They did that with iZombie. Timeless it got cancelled, but they got a kind of 1 episode wrap up, which I've not seen, but apparently wasn't very good.
okay.
I don't think I've seen an example of we're doing a final season where it has actually felt satisfying. I thought iZombie was very disappointing in the way it ended, although based on what they were doing with the season, I couldn't really see it wrapping up any other way as well. Endings are hard, and I think it's worth paying in mind every time. And way back when Smallville got renewed for its 10th season, it was renewed for its final season.
Do you know what? I'm not even convinced I've seen season 10 of Smallville. I'd have to check.
Spoiler alert, he becomes Superman at the end.
What? Oh my god.
Mind blown. I didn't think that was going to happen. What a surprise.
Well,
Supernatural
hopefully
was given its final season as well. That's
oh yeah, God.
Specifically its final season.
Supernatural is a long ass show. And to be fair, like season 5 was their final season until it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, that was the original showrunner's plan.
Yeah.
They left and
To be fair, that would have worked really well.
yeah.
But
It's had a couple of end points actually that would have been okay with it.
and then they were like, oh wait, money.
Yeah, let's keep doing it. Jensen and Jared got to pay the bills. Let's just keep going. We'll
Must
never
be
work
weird.
again.
Yeah, it must be so weird now for them to like finish it after what, like 14 years of their lives?
Yeah, it's
Mental.
going to be intense. I'm losing a lot of shows over the next year.
Aw. Hopefully you gain some good ones as well.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, or maybe I'll just have less work to do, which
Nah.
works for me. Lucifer's been renewed for a final season on Netflix.
I saw that.
They
Yeah.
announced that. So, yeah, there's a lot of final seasons getting kind of thrown around.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a better idea to just end it. You know, you get to a point where halfway through the season they're told, yeah, we're not picking you up again, and then they just let it end as it does. But sometimes that's better than let's try and wrap it up in a neat little package.
True.
So we'll see if maybe they've had this end point in mind and they're building to it, or maybe it will just be like, but what about this? And what about that? And yeah.
Do you know what? I'm betting on like quite a satisfying ending with like a cliffhanger. Do you know what I mean? Like plot points are resolved, but then something happens and you're like, oh, that could open up for an 8th season. That'll never happen.
See, I think the opposite. I think they'll wrap up whatever the season's about, and then you'll do this kind of pan out, and it'll be like 100 years later, and I don't know, they'll show like they're in some kind of paradise situation where there are no problems anymore, or they show them escaping from the surface of this planet as it's exploding around them, therefore completing the loop, and they're back to where they started. Like, we destroyed another planet.
I definitely don't see it closing with a happy ending. I think that'd be very sort of treasonous to the core of the show.
I don't think it'll end well for everybody.
No.
That's for sure. But I can see them doing the 100 years later flash forward where it's all very idyllic and everything they fought for meant something and they're completely at peace or whatever else.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I really just don't buy I think the whole point of the 100 is telling us that, you know, under survival conditions, humans are gonna fuck up. So I think that's the whole message. And I think if by the end of season 7 they're trying to sell the whole like happily ever after peaceful nation thing, I doubt anyone's gonna buy it.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes showrunners get carried away with this kind of self-indulgent.
Perhaps. I really hope that's not the case. Because I think as well the fact that, you know, they can plan for this season being the last one. I really hope they keep the other 6 seasons in mind and do them justice as well.
Yeah. So you're going for a pessimistic-ish ending.
I told you, that's what I like about the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Like, I love all the characters, but not enough for them to all be happy.
I don't know. I'd like to see some kind of catharsis for some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let Raven have a boyfriend that doesn't. Just, at least
You're asking for too much now. That's enough.
I get the sense they're kind of building up a next generation type situation, I guess. Like maybe they're, maybe the more innocent side of it can help. So I suppose Maddie's no longer innocent because she's killed, but like Jordan, maybe Hope. Who knows?
I don't know, maybe Maddie's going to get another shot at childhood now that the flame's out of her head and she's not technically Commander anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like a renewed innocence that she's going to get to experience.
Yeah, what they did with her was a far cry for her being, can I go to school? The season.
Christ.
No, you can't go to school.
You almost forget that's within like 13 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like in the 3rd episode. That's good for that.
Because it's defo like Clark's already been possessed by Josie, so it's not even the 1st episode.
Yeah, well, she asks Clark first.
Yeah.
When she's herself and is told no. And then she asks Josephine, who she thinks is Clark, and it's like, yeah, what do you know?
Why not?
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
We'll see what we get, pessimistic or optimistic, I don't know.
I'm just very excited. And you know what? I'm also really, like, as sad as I will be when it ends, I'm also very excited to see what everyone does after this, because I think it's going to have launched quite a few careers.
Yeah, you've got quite a lot of kind of show-leading people, actors, I think, that could bounce out of this.
For sure.
Eliza Taylor can't just keep appearing in bad Netflix Christmas movies.
Oh my god, don't. I could not even get through like the first half of that film. I was like, oh my god, Eliza, I'll watch it. And then I was like, oh god,
what's her one called?
A Christmas Story or something. Christmas Prince?
No, that's the Rose McIver one.
It's definitely something with Christmas.
Yeah. Christmas Inheritance, that's it.
Oh, that's the one.
I haven't actually seen it. I just saw it was there and I was like, I should watch that.
They literally all blur together as well.
They've almost become the new Hallmark. Although Hallmark are still doing that.
That's literally it, yeah.
They're just churning out crappy Christmas movies.
She deserves better.
Because there's going to be a sequel, another sequel to A Christmas Prince this year.
Oh, you're joking.
Because the first one was just A Christmas Prince, which I watched because Rose McIver's in it. And then I haven't seen the second one.
Fair enough.
I thought the first one was bad enough. And then the third one was like, the second one was like the wedding, and the third one was like a baby or something like that. I don't know, I'm not that interested. So I don't know if there's been a sequel to The Christmas Inheritance, and I really hope not. But she must have just had some time to kill between seasons and thought, you know what, I'll make some money doing this rubbish.
Maybe.
Or I've always wanted to be in a Christmas movie. So this is the only one they're going to offer me.
Oh god.
Yeah, I don't know what she'll do next. Will she stay on the CW?
I don't know, but I hope they give her good roles. I'm not fussy about what she does next. I just want it to like be a credit to her abilities now that we've seen what she can do.
Yeah, I want to see Raven turn up. Lindsey Morgan, I want to see her turn up in something else.
Yeah, because you know what? I'd never seen her in anything else. Like, I know she's done a couple bits and bobs, but I think this is defo the biggest thing she's done.
Yeah. She's in one episode of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the episode where they're getting the drunk train back because they want to pick up chicks on the drunk train. She's one of the chicks that Ted
oh
tries
lord,
to pick up.
Yeah, definitely come a long way from there.
Yeah, I mean, there was only one scene, but I did rewatch it like last year, and I was like, it's her. I didn't recognise her with her face washed.
I genuinely think that anyone with half a brain is going to cast a lot of these people into like really good roles and hopefully leading roles as well.
Well, the CW take care of their actors, so I think there'll be another show that they put at least some of them on.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll turn up as villains in The Flash or something.
Maybe.
Some of them probably already have. I can't even think of it. I know a lot of people get Bob Marley mixed up for Ian Somerhalder because they look vaguely similar.
Really?
Well, that's what someone told me. I don't really know who Ian Somerhalder is, to be honest.
He's the guy from Vampire Diaries.
Yeah. Which I've never actually watched.
Fair enough.
I
I actually think you might like it. Be worth giving it a shot.
No, don't tell me that. I'm not got time for this.
It's only, 7 seasons?
Yeah, and a spin-off. And another spin-off.
Oh, Christ, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. So, yeah, any other thoughts on what you think will happen next season?
I'm hoping we get to see a bit more of Jordan, because that was sort of alluded to in those last moments. I don't know if you caught that, but when just after Bellamy walks away from that conversation, how Jordan looks back over his shoulder and the guy who was trying to convert him gives him a look. I think
he's holding a drive as well.
I don't think we've gotten the OG Jordan back. I think he's definitely changed.
I hope he hasn't been replaced by someone, because we barely knew him.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But I think the whole, you know, when they walk in on him being bled and all that, I think that's defo had some sort of brainwashing effects on him. It'll be interesting to see how that plots out.
And then to see Echo given more to do as well.
Yeah, I thought, you know, they gave her that flashback, and I was like, oh, this is promising, and then she kind of faded into the background again. I'm really hoping we see more of that as well. And of her relationship with Bellamy, because I feel like Bellamy is always given love interest, and then, you don't see any of it.
Yeah, it was it's been 5 years and we're together. That's been it. You see them share scenes occasionally. And,
yeah.
I suppose maybe the writers just don't know how to write stable relationship.
Maybe. Or maybe they don't want to alienate the Bellark fan base. They're like, oh, let's not get them too cozy.
Yeah, I mean, they're married in real life. Just leave it at that.
Yeah. What more could you want?
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they will.
Maybe.
Together. I wouldn't like to see that, to be honest. I don't think that.
I think if they.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think at this point, it'd be too sudden. It'd be too abrupt. No, I wouldn't buy it.
Yeah, so we're definitely getting something with Jordan.
Yep.
Octavia will have something to do. Whether that be the end of her or not, maybe it will be.
I'm hoping we get to see a bit more of the effect on the remaining grounders learning that the flame and essentially their whole sort of history and religion has been destroyed. Yeah. I think that could make for some really interesting dynamics and conversations.
Yeah, and Russell experiencing loss for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ever since they discovered how to do this thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots to play with.
Yeah.
Apparently it's 16 episodes next year instead of 13.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't know how true that is, but I'm sure I saw, I think it was Jason Rothenberg tweeted, there's only 16 hours left after the finale or whatever.
Giving them 16 hours would make sense if we want a proper concluding season, I think. Yeah, it's just a little bit extra to tie off all the loose ends, without it feeling too rushed.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very excited now. Only 10 months to wait.
Don't worry, there's plenty more things between now and then.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there'll be a sequel to Christmas Inheritance that you can just use to tide yourself.
I can't wait!
Oh, God. Yeah, I won't watch that. I don't think so. I don't think I'll watch that.
It depends just how bad the withdrawal is.
I'll manage. I've literally got a big pile of stuff to watch. I'll end up finding Eliza Taylor in something that I didn't realise she was in. And I'll be like, oh, my God, that's mental.
Or just start rewatching The 100 again.
Just start watching Neighbours.
Aye.
That would be insane.
Oh.
Yeah. So, do you have final thoughts on this season? What you want for next season? Just to kind of wrap up.
Final thoughts. I loved the character developments for the main characters. I loved what they did with Clark. I loved what they did with Abby and Octavia and Murphy to maybe a lesser extent. I really enjoyed the world building and everything they did with the primes and the mythology of that. I think they dropped the ball a little bit on the whole Maddie storyline. but that happens. No season's ever perfect. So overall, I'd say I was really happy with this. It was, they could have made it feel like it was dragging on and they were just doing it for the sake of it, but they actually made it feel like an installment that made sense to the overarching 6-season run.
Yeah, I would agree. I like what they did with the majority of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things that were a bit rushed, a few things that were a bit not as thought out as they could have been, a couple of things that were just confusing and felt a bit pointless, but as you say, nothing's perfect. I mean, the fact that we get this kind of quality, high-paced storytelling is definitely a credit to the writers and the actors as well for keeping it going. I think I've said before, probably offline, but I would like a few more quiet moments. The party episode was... I kind of want to see more of that.
It was nice, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just the moments where they're chilling out and just... there's no immediate danger, there's no threat. And the last time... I'm sure there's been other examples of it, but the last time I can remember that happening is... It might have been season 3, where they're going out in their Jeep to find supplies or whatever it is, and someone's playing a guitar while they're doing it.
Oh, the musical number, yeah. Oh, that was such... do you know what? The 100, they don't often make use of contemporary music, but when they do, it's always very impactful and it's always very memorable.
Yeah, or classical music, as far as they're concerned.
Well, yeah,
Just whatever survived. What survives the apocalypse? Pretty sure I wouldn't like any of it. That'd be the worst part. Yeah, so I would like a few more quiet moments. Maybe next season when it's a bit longer, we can have that.
Yeah, maybe that's what the extra 3 episodes are. It's just that we get to see them being them without, the constant drive.
Just them chilling.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, having a happy moment where they're not at threat of immediate death.
And then we'll just be feeling stressed out because we're like, happy moment, something bad's going to happen.
It's something really bad. Because it must get to a point where it's just like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
Just kill me. Just kill me. I've had enough. Just give me 5 minutes. Yeah, strong season. Very few complaints. And it's been great. I'm going to miss it when it finishes, of course. But
for sure.
I think season 7 is plenty as well.
Yeah.
I never thought it would last this long anyway.
No, I'm so happy. And the fact that, we've been on this journey from the start and you think back and you're like, wow, that's like 7 years. That's amazing.
Yeah. Crazy.
Big chunk.
Yeah, it's like almost a decade.
Great.
So that's it. Good season. And thanks very much for coming on the podcast. I'm glad you decided to come on and have a chat about this show because I never get to talk about it.
Well, same. So I should say thank you because it's good to finally get all these feelings out.
Most of my conversation about this show are, do you watch The 100? No. Okay.
Cool.
That's the end of it.
Back to Twitter I go.
Yeah. Should I watch it? Yes. I don't have time.
Oh, they never will.
Yeah.
I've lost track of how many people I've emphatically told them to watch it and they're like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, have you? No.
Yeah. What's it on? I don't know. It's on Netflix at one point, I think.
Just stream it, you goddamn it.
Just find it. It'll be somewhere on the internet. You'll find it. It's not hard. So we'll see. We'll see if more people watch it in the coming years and it becomes this cult classic.
All thanks to this podcast.
All thanks to this podcast. Yeah. Flying the flag for the 100.
You're welcome, Jason.
Yeah. Give us a retweet and solidarity and all that. We are all grounders or whatever the...
Aye.
Yeah, it's not even a thing anymore. Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow the Twitter feeds that much. So, yeah, they could be going on about something else by now.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Having your first ever podcast.
Yes, and hopefully not the last.
Hopefully not the last, yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see about downloading my brain into a computer. It can't be that hard, surely.
No, I think they're really working on it at this stage.
Yeah, I'm going to just do it now. I'll just plug in and see what happens.
Okay. Well, if I don't hear from you again, I'll know what happened,
I'll just show up in another body. It'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh, this sounds right.
So, that was our discussion of Season 6 of The 100. Thanks to YouTuber Niclaux for allowing us to use their cover of The 100 theme. If you like what you heard, then please do hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, or any major podcasting app. iTunes users, please do take the time to leave us a star rating and comment. If If you want to discuss the 100 or anything else, then hit us up on Facebook or Twitter under Kneel Before Blog, or leave a comment on kneelbeforeblog.co.uk. As always, you can catch us on the next Kneel Before Pod.